If you look at your favourite TV shows, especially during conversations or shots where there are groups of characters, to save time and money, background or secondary characters who aren't the focus of the scene typically have very limited animation. But you don't want to completely ruin the illusion that they're alive by stopping their movement altogether. So a shift in expression, pose, or adding in blinks every now and then is a great way to do that. I love animating eyes, and blinks were one of the first animation tests I ever did. They're super easy and very quick to do, so they're great for beginners. As always, we'll start with the basics and then try something more advanced. You can download the files from this video through the link in the description. My most basic blink is made up of 4 drawings. The first is open, second is half closed, third is completely closed with a bit of a thicker lash line, and then we have a half open eye before we go back to our first drawing, which I've just copied over. For the half open positions, if you want to make it even quicker, you can just copy and paste it, and you'll get a pretty similar result. Now we have our drawings, let's sort out the timing. I'll have the first 2 drawings last for 2 frames each. The closed eye will hold for 3 or 4 frames, but it can be longer if you like. After this, the half open eye will last for 2 frames before we go back to our open position, which will hold until I add another blink. I'd recommend recording yourself to see when and how frequently you blink, and if there is a pattern to it. Usually, if I have a longer shot, I'll use a single blink, followed by a double, and that looks like this. The timing of the double is different because the 2 blinks are closer together, and to save time, I've just copied the frames over, removed the open position between them, and adjusted how long they'll hold for, until I have something I'm happy with. Now there are a couple of ways to make this blink a little more interesting. First, you can try different art styles or techniques when animating a blink. Either pick a show or process that you really like, and be sure to give credit if it's influenced by another creator and you post it online. The eye shape, pupils, and line weight can be wildly different from each other, and depending on the character's personality, mood, and environment, this can affect the way you animate a blink too. Next, you can add some emotion to your blink, and to really emphasize how your character is feeling, you can add some eyebrows. Focus on recording yourself for reference and try animating a few from this list. I made these tests in Blender's grease pencil with my Blender brush pack. I used a noise modifier to add a boil to the animations, and a mirror modifier to sketch, line, and color these loops with symmetry. To make them more interesting, I used different art styles or eye shapes that would suit the emotion I was trying to show. Now, aside from the tired blink, which I didn't really need them, I found during these tests that eyebrows were very important in getting the look I wanted. My first animation was quite loose, and I decided to combine both the confused and surprised prompts into one animation. You can see here how the eyes and eyebrows draw in, and the blink starts with a closed position. The next is almost open, and then we are back to the original eye, which I copied over. This order makes the blink quite quick. The double blink is much the same, except we remove the open position from the middle of the 2 copies and let this drawing hold for 1 more frame. The transition to surprise is done with 2 drawings. The brows and eyes draw in a little more to create anticipation before they spring open in the next frame. The one after is a copy adjusted with the sculpt tool. The closed eye position for surprise is much longer. Again, I used a single and then a double blink. You'll notice this open position here isn't quite as wide, and that's because it's a copy from earlier in the animation to help close the loop. So when I played it through, there's no noticeable jump in position. On the next loop, I used a completely different style. This one was inspired by anime, and the stars I added helped exaggerate the emotion. The stars were drawn and then copied, moved, and scaled by hand. The eyebrows really helped transition the focused look in the beginning to surprise, with a long blink and closed eye position to add anticipation for the open pose when the stars appear. Though this effect would likely be out of place in a more realistic animation, it fits perfectly here, and I had a lot of fun making this one and find it so satisfying to watch. I've seen fires included in pupils for an angry blink and mini skulls for a character who was embarrassed. Depending on the style of your project, including small details like this can really add that little extra something to your animations. Next up was the Tearful blink, and this style of eye is more like my regular art style, which is inspired by Over the Garden Wall and Adventure Time. With this expression, I animated a wobble in the pupils and waterline that would loop across the open eye and were removed when closed. I animated falling tears for this one, originally using the mirror modifier, but it really didn't look right with symmetry, so I had to make new layers that were not linked to the mirror modifier, which allowed me to offset the timing and add extra tears. For the angry blinks, these were much slower and they had a more even spacing. I could have added a couple of extra in-betweens during these blinks to make them slower and more intense. But what really separates these two is the positioning of the eyebrows and the animation on the eyelashes, which I animated one and then copied and moved to fill in the edges. Animating this single eyelash actually took me the longest to get right out of all the blink tests, so I'm planning on coming back to this one to take a look at different styles. The tired eye was my final and one of my favourite animation tests. I really enjoyed the timing on this one, using the blinks and red texture at the top to really exaggerate how this character was feeling. Instead of using a single and double blink for this, the character's open eye position would slowly lower until we reached the closed position, where it would appear they had fallen asleep. The widest eye contrasts well, but doesn't hold as I animated this to quickly drop down to the first half open eye we see and create the closed loop. Timing is such a huge part of animation, and as an animator you are also an actor, because you will be recording your own reference and using that to direct your character's movements in whatever project you're making. As you get more comfortable with this exercise, try animating something from this list at different speeds. Imagine and act out how a fast tearful blink compares to a slow one. How would this affect any tears, and which parts would you exaggerate? If you wanted to push yourself even more, try adding in the head or body of your character, and try posing them in a way that you feel would match the expression. I hope you enjoyed this video and have fun animating some blinks. Check out this playlist for more of my How to Animate series, and I'll be back with another one real soon. Bye!